Afternoon, everyone. Hope you are having a great time. My name is Abhinav Chaturvedi. I'm a partner with Deloitte in the digital transformation practice, looking after a specific area on marketing and customers. So I'm quite close to retail and consumer as a sector. So I'll be moderating this next 1 hour segment with this very exciting bunch of people, and just brace yourselves for some real good insights. So without much delay, let me start off. See, we are retail is one sector where we are all very close as consumers, and in the last 6 months, we have seen a lot of changes happening. Me personally, for example, I have visited an ATM only 3 times in the last 6 odd months, whereas I used to visit, let's say, 4 to 5 times. I have hardly been to a store. So a lot of changes happening for retailers. So what have you? Let's start with understanding the perspective from retailers on what does smart tech mean for them, especially when it comes to three key stakeholders: their business, their own employees, and the customers. So has the definition of smart tech, how it is being used, has that changed lately? So, and maybe we could start with you, Vishal, if you could just throw your perspective on that.
I'm visible and audible. Am I audible?
Yes, Vishal,
Yes,
we can hear you.
Okay, great. So smart tech for me is basically, for any retailer in today's context, is wherever they are, there is a demand equation there, and how you are able to meet the supply of your offering. Whether you are fashion and lifestyle, whether you are a grocery retailer or essentials or whosoever. So smart tech is not just something which is just limited to what is happening in the store, to RFID labeling and cycle counts and what you do, ship from store and all that. Smart tech is basically what is the value equation you have for the overall offering. How fast you are able to ship, whether what is your order density, do you have the supply chains catering to that demand from certain pockets in a country. So technology need to cater to that entire life cycle in the wherever the demand is coming from in the current context, because needs are different. The choices definitely need to be different, and the offering need to cater to what people are looking for. That would be my take. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Vishal. Anil, what are your views?
So I somehow aligned with what Vishal spoke about. So smart tech is always holistic with the 3 or 4 pillars which we spoke about. While you must be doing too much on the front end for the customer, are you trying to also do the same at the back end in terms of, as mentioned, supply chain, in terms of your employees? What are you doing around your employee partners to make sure that they deliver the demand in the perfect manner? Okay, that's an element of trust which is coming right heavily. Right? It was there always, but now it's very vibrant out there. How are you making sure that that also is being taken with the elements which we currently spoke about, the front end, the back end, the finances, the inventory, and all of that put together? So smart tech for me would be an holistic approach to any technology which was there. So if you ask me that, was it not there before? Yes, it was there before. Now the demand is so high, and the modus has changed, right? Because we were getting customers at the store and so on and so forth. Now it's becoming, people are now used to getting takeaways and home deliveries and everything. So you see a spike out there. How do you enhance the omni-channel? Everyone had a vision of omni-channel somewhere on their journey for that. So how do you make sure that these 4 or 5 aspects put together give you a complete holistic approach to meet that end point, which is the customer satisfaction? That's smart retail.
Wonderful. So I think you also built upon the point which Vishal made around demand supply, meeting the customer demand, and omni-channel is just one of the ways of doing it, right? But you also said something very interesting around trust. I'm just catching up on that word. So what does trust mean in this whole thing, and what is smart technology doing to build that trust? Anil, anything on that?
Sure. So if you look at our own ways of living and ways of the way we used to order, the way we used to communicate with the retailer, today the first thing what plays in our mind is, are they safe? Are we safe? Are we getting on the safe hand? Are we going to a safe location? Are the person is the person who is creating that essentials or delivering that food for us, are they safe enough? So somewhere all the retailers have moved into fact saying that how do we begin we get the comfort to the customer that we are safe, we are trusted, and it is not a okay, I do it for a small period. It is now a lifelong thing, right? Today the customer's perspective have completely changed from saying that okay, I just go to the store, I buy this because this is cheap here or this so and so forth. Well, I like this stuff. Now it's moved to okay, so I do like this. Is it cheap and value for money and all that? But are they trustworthy? Are there safety measurements which have been taken care of? Are the ambassadors showing that visibility of trust and cleanness and sanity and all the factors which brings in trust to a human being, right? Now that's something where retailers are now taking a lot of initiatives and elements like a smart app which comes in or something which shows the customer, you know what, look, my store is safe, my site is safe, my location is safe, my food is safe. This is the parameters on which we calculate, and it is not a one time in a day kind of thing. Now it's being a frequent information sharing with the customer, showing that how safe you are. So that's a larger element which retailers have.
Perfect. Thanks, Anil. And if I just extend that point to Kiran, so you being in similar sector, is that something that you concur with in the point of trust? And is there anything else that you want to add?
Yes, Abhinav. See, Anil has touched on the right points of the trust which you're building, being a multinational brands. When you're doing the retail business in a country like India, where geographically you have to cater to different cultural people, you have to make sure that the trust of the brand is equally maintained. And I also wanted to extend a little more. It's not only a trust; it's also the quality first. So when you're talking about a multinational brand and when you're trying to penetrate to the deep parts of the country and you're having so many outlets, maintaining the same quality is one of the biggest trust what a brand can bring it. For that, it's not so easy. It's been mainly you're running in multiple outlets. There will be there is a huge number of people who will be associated with you in running the retail outlets. Today modern the QSR business is being much extended to aggregator business. So what happens is your brand is limited to your four walls, but now when you are exposing it to aggregators and some aggregator is handling your food to the customer, the quality and trust plays a very important role, and maintaining that and giving that to customer is at the first front of our thoughts. So I agree with Anil, and trust and quality are things which will give that to a brand where we stand today.
Great, thanks. So, and if I quickly move to Manoj, in the apparel sector, there are lots of things that we have been hearing about for a long time: smart mirrors, AR, VR, and we said that I've been hearing about it for last 7-8 years that this will revolutionize the apparel retail. I'm yet to see these things, becoming commonplace in apparel retail. What's stopping it? And if this is only bells and whistles, then what is the real smart tech in apparel?
Yeah, this has been happening for a very long time. The virtual mirror and the customer coming, a photograph having the feeling like how does it look, and then he buys it. Technology-wise, yes, it's very nice, but the only thing is the ROI. If I have to implement this thing, then this particular technology, how will it help for me in the front of store, which will add and value, how much a conversation will happen on that particular. there are smart mirrors also, there are smart TV also, where some ad is going on. Once you go in front of that TV, it get converted into mirror, and you can select the product and all. But at the end of the day, it's only that how much the ROI which comes up. And in the current corona pandemic, like customers are not visiting to the stores currently. So that particular kind of feeling we need to give on the omni-channel front on the website, where they can feel how the product is, and as the quality, like Kiran said, the quality which matters over there. So the feel of the product they don't get when they are on the visual aspect. So the customer, when we try to give this particular product on the omni-channel, also we need to see how the product has been photographed in such a way that in a edge level that they get the feel of the product, and the texture of the product, which is explained in the content. What is the material, what is the content, and what is the fashion, what is the style statement, so that customer feel the confidence about the product and they go ahead and buy for it. That's what it is.
Sure, thank you. So Piyush, if I have to come to you, we just saw the presentation from NEC. What kind of offerings do you have? From that standpoint, from a technology standpoint, what do you see? What is the difference? What's promise? What's reality when it comes to smart tech for retail?
So I think I agree with most of the comments made out here by the fellow panelists. And while Anil spoke about that retail, if we as a technology service provider, we can't look at retail only at a shop level or at a retail establishment level. There has to be a value chain innovation which stitches back the manufacturing and the logistics part of it together. Because for a retailer, the cost output is happening all across this entire spectrum. The value chain innovation is happening across all these spectrum. So whatever, and I had the kind of luxury or advantage that we started a little late, and Srini from my team, he was presenting on some of the technologies. But beyond that, there is a broader ecosystem of our value chain innovation, make, carry, sell. And how do we stitch together this entire value chain together to make a greater sense? But apart from that, I think what we are seeing in a post-COVID-19 new normal, the safety, security, and not only of customers, but employees all over the stakeholders. Safety, security is taking a center stage. And sometimes it is becoming a regulatory compliance. And what that is doing is necessitating stores to adopt the digital technology at a much faster pace. And while the earlier theme was more into efficiency and some part of the quality control in terms of digital transformation, but safety, security, and another concept we are seeing, and we are the ones who are promoting that, is equality. And equality, your omni-channel, it should be equal for everyone in different parts of the world, whether in-store, out-of-store, and the concept of safe, secure, efficient, and equal is what we are trying to promote. But as we have seen, some of these technologies, they've been in existence, and many companies, they have toyed with everything. But we classify typically into customer experience, into a new revenue generation streams, and from an operational efficiency perspective or a cost optimization perspective. So we are especially seeing that in today's world where everybody is cash trapped, the new revenue generation streams and digital technologies, which is either for the new normal compliance and regulatory aspect, or the new revenue generation, they are getting the mind share of the boards of these companies and our customers. And that's a trend that we are seeing. But from a horizontal technology, enabling technology perspective, we have had the kind of AI, ML, AR, VR, IoTs, and digital transformation across SPAC, which is your social, mobile, analytics, cloud happening. But I think the new buzzwords which have entered into this fray is contactless, touchless, and frictionless. And that's what is driving the new age of this digital transformation adoption across the retailers across the globe.
Perfect. I think, so quite a few themes that we just touched on. I think the last one, contactless, touchless, those are the, so those are the kind of driving themes. And then the technology is falling in place, so the IoTs and everything was always there, but the use cases, the newer use cases are emerging now. For example, we were speaking about it yesterday about this, in-store technology, which is called Mind the Gap, which basically makes sure that people are not overcrowding in a particular area. So all those things are there. Yeah, Piyush, any comment on that? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, and we think that what is happening, and I think Manoj talked about an ROI perspective. So if I go to any of these retailers and say that, okay, you put up 5 cameras in the store, and I'll monitor the social distancing, he said probably that's not enough ROI in terms of that. But when I start bundling another use cases on the same set of infrastructure, say if I say that, okay, we'll do a mask compliance with that. We'll do other set of compliances. We can have a thermal component into it to do a thermal screening of the people who are entering. And then we bring and stitch together a concept of, okay, your planogram monitoring I can do with the same set of cameras. Your payments through facials and stitch together a different experience for your customer using the same set of infrastructure. And that's what is required today in terms of looking at how do we kind of reuse the current infrastructure, bring in some little amount of additional components to these stores, but enable a plethora of opportunities for the retailers to optimize and again make it more safe, secure, efficient, and equal for the entire ecosystem.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more, especially on the safety, security, the trust, quality part. See, Deloitte does this survey called State of the Mind of Consumer Survey, which we keep coming up with the result. We have seen significant uptick in the consumer anxiousness parameters, where so consumers are anxious about walking into a store or dealing with a brand. So that part, especially in the COVID time, has gone up, and obviously these technologies play a part in addressing that. So Kiran, if I can just come back to you, and I may switch gears a little bit. What this adoption of technology has done is, it as a side effect or as a primary reason, it has given a plethora of data at disposal to organizations. Does that mean that now you have started looking at your consumers differently because now you have data to back it up?
Yeah. So basically, see, let's talk about pre-COVID and post-COVID, at least, which is very close by last 2 quarters. So before in QSR business, mainly I'm just trying to touch upon the QSR retail, getting customer information is not that easy because it's the faster checkout, right? You have 4 people standing in a queue and they wanted to eat food and they are hungry, and you can't ask them, tell your mobile number, tell your histories. So it's not easy to correct the customer information at checkouts at POS. However, we used to get data only on online orders, where in a delivery order, it is inevitable. They have to provide their address and contact details and so on. But now what happened is post-COVID, the entire approach, how we are reaching to customer reaching to our restaurants, where technology is playing a vital role. First of all, customers are not willing to come and stand by the virtue of the situation in front of us. So what we did is it's completely a transformation of how you are doing your checkout, billing, digital invoices in the stores, which happened in a less than a month's time. Like we started making it contactless completely in a dine-in takeaway. You have a QR code, you scan it, either you can download a mobile app or you go to a microsite, you have a menu, you order it, and there is a second window where they will call the customer name saying that, sir, this is your packet, and they are giving it contactless, and it has a sanitizing small packet to it, and it clearly shows the norms, how it has been hygiene while they are preparing it. So this and all changed, and this also come up with huge data of the customers. Before, it's like 20-30% of customer data and patterns used to be there. Today, with the digital invoices and the way how the customers are interacting with the brands, we are having a major shift in the data which we are collecting from the customers. So this will help in a long run. Certainly in a short run, it is obviously helping us, but post-COVID, when things become to new normal, this data will help us more to understand the customer behaviors and make a mature decisions, rather the decisions what made by retailers for over a decade, the mass email campaigns and SMS campaigns, which doesn't relevant to most of the customers. But when you are having a bill level penetration information, as well as you are having a customer likes, dislikes, and his purchase histories, it will make more relevant. And I think we are completely sitting with now data. Now we have to look after how to make it into a proper information to run the analytical engines and put this marketing team on place, giving the right data. Hopefully that's almost we are near. To an extent we all are doing, but we wanted to make it much accurate and using AI. See, basically now the AI is used in most of the interactions with the customer so far, in terms of your chat histories or your interaction, customer feedback or experience with the customer interactions. But now we are trying to use this AI in terms of customer patterns and how to campaign to the customers, how to reach with the new products, value segment separately, and brand followers. You can work in many ways with this data and come out of with sensible needs based on your business requirements. I think that's one good part happened now. And now I don't think customer will go back. Now the digital will continue, and people are used to scan a QR code and order rather than go and stand in a queue. I think this will certainly have certain more proportionate set of people who are coming, and mostly millennials will never go back to the old traditional ways. So I think we are in a right place where this data can be used as information.
Absolutely. So I think data has helped, or rather is in the process. So as you said, you have all the right ingredients. Now you have to use this data to know your target segments better and to know the individual customers better. So Vishal, if I could come to you, segmentation of one is like, the dream of any marketeer or any organization. Is this taking you closer? Is smart tech taking you closer to that dream?
See, my take in this smart tech and this whole conversation is the whole optics has changed. Okay. So the loyalty programs, which used to be point based, and it used to be like, okay, there is a currency. The whole definition of that is irrelevant. Why I'm saying I'm making a very bold statement as irrelevant is because if you are not even going to a store, how are you going to use your loyalty points? Okay. So can you make a very simple thing and online and offline play? How do you merge these two different things? Because consumer is same. So you see, my personal take is that if you look at a very interesting thing that has happened is traditional companies where they never looked and believed in digital because of the situation, they have started believing in digital. More than believing, they have put money on the table to invest in digital. Okay. So a lot of old school thinkers in the various boards and finance function and in all different functions. This is a time when they said, okay, tell us what help do you need? Okay. How do we reach out better? So I think that's a smart thing that has happened. Okay. So, so irrespective of various different technology thing that whatever we may say, situation makes us behave smart. And even the buyers who are planning for the range and what they need to buy for a particular season in fashion, they also become very smart. So if you go around in fashion industry and ask them what is the amount of cancellation of orders you have done in May, June for fall winter, and how's your portfolio, what you planned then, and now it's very, very different. Okay, so I think smart is also not technology. Smart is how you respond to the change. That's the point I'm trying to make. And the investments will follow. And to Piyush's point and Manoj's point on the ROI on the various technologies. So when it is, I remember a few years back, I wanted to do this digital mirror thing. And I wanted to go beyond digital mirror, and I wanted to make a mixed reality kind of a stuff. Because in certain segments, mixed reality works very, very good, especially in sports and lifestyle. It was costing me a hell lot of money. There was hardly any ROI, but there was a wow factor. Okay, and stickiness. So the idea was to put it in a mall rather than in a store. Okay, so so technology is smart, but how smartly you package and show it to people. So you know, and then the idea was that put it in a mall and make kids interact with that mixed reality thing. Okay, and interact with your brand content. So there is nothing sale and all that associated with that. But the point is, somewhere you are gathering the consumer attention and the connect with the brand. So Kiran spoke a lot about MarTech. So I've invested in my previous work, and for many years worked on different tool sets on creating this single view of customer and algos and all those kind of things. See, we live in a world where my kids don't do appointment viewing, and even I have stopped. So I am watching Netflix and all these streaming platforms for almost 2 years now. Okay, so and how do a marketer reach out to me? Through an SMS? Really? Because I'm not watching the routine TV. So the whole TV industry, so the whole ad agency equation and all that is the whole the concept to, because even creative has a concept, you know, brand marketing, the whole concept has changed. So Kiran's point is very valid. So it has become from a deal driven communication to various different methods are evolving. And in COVID-19 situation, what we have seen just after the lockdown, people didn't really bother whether it's on discount or not, but they wanted, there was a demand-based buying that was happening. So now from demand-based buying, we are moving into deal-seeking buying. In that phase, how do marketeers reach out to people is becoming more and more difficult. And who's going to make money? Maybe likes of Facebook and Google and all these people, because it is, in my view, becoming very tough to reach out to consumers. So hence, so the technologies that Piyush and likes of equivalent companies, what they are building, need to be relooked smartly, not in the store, but beyond the store. You know?
Got it. Yeah. So I think what you're saying is it is much beyond just technology. So don't view it as a technology thing.
Concept. Yeah.
Yeah. The overall concept of how you use it.
Absolutely. So
yeah.
You need to be smart in that.
So in fact, Vishal, there is a direct question to you on, you just mentioned mixed reality. So the question is, what's that? Can you elaborate more on that? Maybe the question is more about what does it mean in your particular domain?
So see, mixed reality, what is mixed reality? We know augmented reality and we know virtual reality. Okay. So, so virtual reality, you have to wear something and then you go in there. Okay. And augmented reality, you need to have a device and then you actually see, like many furniture companies, they are using that, you know, and through the phone, you see the placement of where the, that's another example. Mixed reality is gesture based, motion based, and it's not only that, but actually you can call it, I'll give you an example of mixed reality that I was lucky to implement in 2016. though in a pilot phase. So it was basically, the idea is that there is a lot of content sitting on YouTube and nobody's watching. Maybe somebody's watching. Okay, brand content. How do we bring that outside YouTube and where people can play with it? Okay, so I had the high definition 3-dimensional camera, 3D cameras installed, which is basically sensing that somebody is walking towards the video wall, because video walls are there in the stores. There's a lot of investment that has gone in. So the moment somebody goes closer to the video wall behavior changes, and then the content pops up, and then you just move your hand, gesture based, and you select on something, and then the video plays with the sound and all this. So it's a very immersive effect. That's one example of mixed reality. So you are in a real dimension like we are talking, but there is another side of world that opens up. So that's why it is called as mixed reality. So the virtual comes out, it opens up in the real world. So that's the mixed realities.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Thanks. So Manoj, just moving on to you, because you are also in similar business, apparels. Personally, for me, I have seen a huge potential for use of data and data sciences in apparel business. I met somebody recently who is into apparel business, and they said for a typical shirt, for example, they capture some 45 parameters or something like that. And that gives them a huge amount of data on which they can do analytics. Is that something that you are seeing in your business?
Yeah, we do, because this data is only there which help us, to plan for the next season. How the season went in the particular, like there are two types of season, winter and summer. So whatever collection you put on the store, then how does it go? How does the color went? How did the style went? What is the upcoming new style? Or we also take the feedback from the customer, what they were expecting. And on the basis of all this, like in our business, we always get the customer feedback. So on the omni-channel, we put the customer feedback, not more, only 3 to 4 questions where it gives, they have the customers to only select on the smiley and one feedback, like what they were expecting, like how can we help them much more better next time. And we respond to them, and we collect this data, and on this basis, the merchandisers have a look at it, and that is getting addressed to that. So that's the way we work on this particular data.
Sure, thanks. Anil, I'll take your views also on the use of analytics and data in your business before I come to Piyush.
Sure. So for me, we've been thriving on data for long. Right? Starbucks loyalty is a known element in the kind of a benchmarks and all that. Segmentations and everything were there. Data was there. Now there's a different aspect which is come to data. While we are, as you correctly said, we are having a lot of touch points, a lot of channels to grasp the data, collect the data, segment it. All of that tools are there. How effectively do we use the tool is now changed. Now the whole mindset have changed, saying that I'm getting more and more input as saying 45 attributes. We talk about 68 attributes and so on and so forth. So how do you make more sense out of that data? It's something which is already happening with teams like Piyush, and as Kiran spoke about, all the MarTech tools are coming up. Now the aspect there which has come up very classically is with data protection, privacy and everything. How do you maintain security around it? It is not only data collection as of now is becoming. Now if there's so much of data coming to you, the mindset of either the IT industry and the CISOs and the CISOs of the world have now started looking at how can we protect this data. It is very valuable. With data privacy and data protection coming in, we need to be very careful while using this data in the right appropriate manner. So while you are doing MarTech and segmentation and reaching out to the customer, and I agree to Vishal that email and SMS may no longer be an 8-stage kind of thing, suddenly out of the blue, notifications and others are playing the part. I also go with what Kiran spoke about, QR codes are some element where we can reach to customers who weren't our customers before. it's like that, right? Now we hang I'm a guy who doesn't want to download an app, and suddenly I see a QR code, I just have, I don't have to download it, and a PWA kind of app, and then I order and so on and so forth. So I'm getting information who are not my customers also. So while I'm doing this, again I go back to the fact where I started, and one very prominent aspect which I'll be putting at is how do you bring the trust on data elements for the customer. Being collecting a data is very good. If we have got channels, we have gone to extra mile to collect data. Now, how do we maintain the security and the sanity of that data? Is something which most of us are now looking into and trying to build a wall around it. And again, going back to what Vishal spoke about, the board has now started recognizing the value of these investments and how this insurance can move to the next level of being trustworthy out there, right? So that's that maybe not an organic growth, inorganic growth are happening because of this data. That's something which you should be enriching around. Going.
Perfect. Thanks, Anil. There's one question from audience, which I think Piyush, you might be able to take it the best. The question is: are smart technologies also applicable to medium and small retail businesses?
I personally think definitely yes, because this is an untapped power in the country. One of the companies on the board of which I am, which is CSCE Governance, they have 350,000 points of presence in rural part of the India. Started primarily as a financial inclusion kind of aspect, migrated to government to citizen services. But what they have is 350,000 places, different villages in India. They have a digital connectivity, they have a digital infrastructure which is available. During the lockdown, we did a pilot. Within 50 days, we onboarded 110,000 of these centers converted into rural e-commerce Kirana stores. They were doing the sourcing, they were doing the fulfilling, they were doing the deliveries themselves. We just provided them 3 simple applications for the users and customers, for we call them village level entrepreneurs to manage their businesses. But that led to a new journey that we could embark on with this platform. And today we are talking about Kisan e-marts, we are talking about logistics services for them. And that's a huge opportunity in terms of what we can unlock. So that's a big untapped market. And there's, if you ask any of these retailers that if they were to service 110,000 or 350,000 retail establishments, the sheer cost in a traditional brick and mortar model will make it unviable. So smart technology, definitely, it's just the tip of the iceberg, but there's a huge play in terms of aggregating not only demand and supply, but look at what are the needs of this huge market, which is in the rural part of the country. And with some of if you look at some of the medium and small establishments in the urban part of the country as well, they spend a whole lot of amount of energy in maintaining something as simple as their book of accounts into a GST scenario. Is there a way for somebody to come with a simple smartphone or tablet-based point of sale terminals, which can start as point of sale, but then gradually become more of a point of service to point of convenience? So train ticket bookings, mobile or movie tickets, bus tickets, all those kind of things can be done from these small and medium retailer stores that are going and the traditional mom and pop Kirana store. So there's a huge value there, and definitely it is there. And we need to look at how do we unlock from that perspective. But the one sector which will only expand and grow at a phenomenal pace will be with the adoption of smart technology is the SME sector of ours, because that's have a huge potential and power that they have.
Absolutely. And see, the other thing which I have been seeing personally is adoption of smart tech or tech now is not a question of huge investments upfront. There are models available through which you can start small, experiment, and it doesn't take much. There are startups in the market who are ready to invest in you as long as you are ready to do pilots for them, because that helps them build their product and it helps you in getting the first look at the product. So there are different options available. A related question again from the audience is around unmanned smart micro retail stores, and the fact that there is a huge potential of these, especially in areas like airports or busy malls and all, where you can have a small store which is self-service based. Is that something either in QSR or any other related business that you are seeing? And this question is open to everyone. Yeah, Piyush, you could go first.
Sorry. Yeah, I think there's a great wow factor, but now what we are seeing, and one sector which is kind of approaching us, because we do some smart convenience stores which are unmanned ones, and one sector apart from, of course, airports, malls that will come in, one sector is healthcare and hospitals, and they want to minimize the patient movement, the attendant movement on each of these floors, and they don't want a simple canteen based one canteen service in one building kind of approach. So they are saying, can't we have a small unmanned counter on each of these floors where anybody can go in and self-manage? And that has to be again linked to a contactless, touchless kind of a system, at least from a payment perspective. Or how do you manage if somebody picks up something from the shelf and does not want to buy it? Does he want to keep it over there, back there itself on the shelf? Or is there a separate place where he keeps, and there is an entire sanitization program that comes in? But it's more a wow factor today. The blueprint, the successes are there. In our headquarter office, we have a 7-Eleven unmanned store that we have built. We have built it across many other places. But it was a wow factor. We are still seeing in a post-COVID world, like Vishal wrote, airports are a great place. We are doing, for the airports aviation, we are doing a facial boarding system where your face is your boarding pass. It becomes your security check, your baggage storage, your lounge access, you're boarding the flight. There's no contact. Your face is your boarding pass. We extended it to the retail establishments at the airports and said even payments is by face. So you don't need to hand over your card or do any kind of contacts onto that. But so that's a trend we are seeing, but still, I think it's an early stage because we don't see that footfalls on the airports or anything of those kind of things starting at that kind of pace. But there is a huge demand definitely for this, and kind of fueled by the post-COVID new normal world.
Anil, yeah, sure, Kiran, go ahead.
Yeah. So I just wanted to address this. I think in the current Indian retail scenario, looking for an unmanned store is still far away. But the nearest problem which we are trying to address, most of the retailers are doing the POCs, and how it can be addressed is how to reduce the friction at the point of sales. See, having an unmanned store or outlet can only cater to a small segment, just like you quoted. It may be an airport, or it may be somewhere you have a matured customer walking in and can take care. But in a mass business in India, and when we are running with multiple outlets like this, the primary problem to address is not making it as a unmanned. It is more like a frictionless point of sales. Today, you go to any retailer in India, the biggest challenge is you have to stand in a queues, and your billing is your time-consuming process. So I think that is the first point to be addressed. Once this is addressed, making unmanned is not big thing, because once you are able to crack this point of sale friction, then I think that will come based on the maturity of the market and the where you are positioning your retail outlet. Then the going to a unmanned is a secondary level. I think the first problem to IT leaders is to address how to reduce the friction, or maybe some of the outlets which we can try off without having a point of sale using technology. How can you check out your customer? I think that has to be addressed before addressing about that.
No, totally agree. And if I can add Abhinav onto this, for one of the competitors of Kiran, we did develop a kind of it's a display, large scale display, but it's an ordering terminal, touchscreen enabled. And that was pre-COVID. But now in the post-COVID world, what is happening that the customers don't want even a touchscreen or anything to be there. So we are making it voice activated, where somebody comes to a burger store, selects what kind of a burger he wants, what kind of complications that he wants along with it. and what variants of that he wants, pays through, again, and if he is a loyalty enrolled customer of yours on your application or any of those, his financial data and his blue facial, you can authenticate him, and the payments can be done automatically on that. So, but even touch is now not allowed. So voice activated, gesture control, those are some of the technologies that we are trying to adopt to. On the biometric boarding also, there's a one-time enrollment happening on the touch terminal. We are changing that to voice and gesture based.
Yeah, I think just to add here, see, touch panel investment is again a very big investment in the restaurants. Now what we are trying to do is we are trying to really we are trying to leverage customer mobile as our touch screens. So we are trying to make more UI enabled solutions, which customer no need to come to us. Customer can scan something and open on his mobile and mobile phone of a customer itself. So there is no friction. So that's where I'm trying to do some innovations there.
Sure. So Anil, in fact, I just wanted to ask this question to you since last 5 minutes. But interesting perspective. I would say, why not gesture? So I think we just spoke about it. So instead of touch screen, it could be gesture, it could be voice. But Anil, would Starbucks want to do something like that? You know, your whole USP is the experience that the person gets. In fact, sometimes we joke when you go to a Starbucks that we are paying for the place. The coffee is just a, just a side effect. The Starbucks will not be happy to know that, but that's how we view it. Would you want to do that? Unmanned store where people just come, pick up the coffee and go away?
Sure. So I just wanted to address that, and I was, you're true. You're true to say that, and we do not call ourselves a coffee shop. We call ourselves a neighborhood store. So it's like neighborhood store. You come by, have the experience, have the coffee. There's some coffee authority which is there in the store. Enjoy that presence and that. While I will not, I think we should not be looking at unmanned store, because as Piyush and Kiran are saying, that's a larger investment. Piyush is happening and so on and so forth. That may be the future. I'm not saying that maybe it's not a future, but that may be a future for someone. But from our standpoint of view, we should empower the customer to make his own decisions without clustering the point of sale. As Kiran mentioned, my point was that, do we really want a point of sale? Why don't we enable the whole thing on his own device? He's convenient. He's happy to play around there. We can assist him there. What you want from backhand is assist him out there in terms of recommendations, what's new, and so on and so forth, while he's doing that whole activity. The second point there is, do not lose that human touch. When I say, I know there's an aspect of 6 foot, 3 foot, social distancing, and all of that. But every time, next time you go to a store, anytime soon, while you may be playing with all of this, you will still require someone to have a say, good morning and good evening, and so on and so forth. Your brand ambassador is talking about the whole scenario, the whole coffee, and so on and so forth. Right? So to answer your question, yes, we will, as of now, we will not be looking at that level of unmanned coffees and others, but we will also look at an interactive way of making sure that the customers are empowered to do that. Right? One element which I would like to put for the larger audience would be, while you're doing because now there's this whole rush of digital, do this, do that. Yeah, obviously it opens up new channels, right? But always be cognizant of the fact that what next with the digital unit you are putting into it. What about this investment? Do you have a roadmap towards the investment, or is it going to be a dead end after COVID moves out after 1 year or so? Is it going to be a dead end? So some aspects of road mapping, while you're selecting a digital product or going to on a digital platform, you should always keep on nurturing that, and that's what I suppose Piyush was mentioning. While you are doing this, it's more on a POC phase. But he correctly said, can I point of sale move to the next phase of saying that contactless payment by yourself, and your dashboard for marketing techniques, so on and so forth. So every retailer, one of the questions we said is business for medium and small businesses, is it a good time to go to digital? Should they go to digital? I think yes, it's a very good time to go for them to digital, because platforms are mature, platforms are coming in, There are startups who are putting forth their elements of, as you correctly said, by doing a POC and others. And this is a good time for them to test the ground, test the water, test how good works for you. Some may work, some may not work. Some features work, some features doesn't work. And that's the course correction which you can be doing at this point of time. So the audience is right. You have your collaborative partners to be right now there. It's only about your business thought which has to be brought into place to merge or bridge between these both aspects.
Great, thank you. So if I may quickly ask your views on one question. How are you deciding that this is the right technology for you to invest in? If I can just, starting with you, Manoj, maybe just a quick 10-15 second answer.
In between your voice went, can you please pardon?
So how are you deciding that I have to invest in this technology?
See, for us, the customer comes first. So as I mentioned earlier, we check what is the ROI which I will get in the return and how I can fully satisfy the customer in his need. That would be my first.
Okay. Anil?
For me, it will be more from an agility standpoint of view, and because now this is a time where people are experimenting with many channels, people are experimenting with trends around the world, right? So this is a good time for me to see how can I get onto a platform, test it around, and then make a choice whether this is the right technology which I want to go, and also make sure that it reverts back to my ecosystem. So I can't move my ecosystem, right? You need to be very cognizant of the fact that your ecosystems can't be shaken to left to right completely in my view. So that's somewhere we should be looking at a technology in terms of agility.
Sure. Kiran?
So if you talk about the smart way of getting these technologies is to look for some agile technologies, how fast you can transform this to a next opportunity or the next available advancement in the features. You have to have certain core technologies which are core for your business, and you have to build some technologies which are agile, which are more of SaaS based, and which can talk to each other and can make value out of it. That's how when you are opting at technologies you should be. And mostly now all the technologies we opt to more of SaaS based technologies, where agilely we can move from one point to one point based on the journey. It's a continuous journey. There is no end for it.
Right. Thanks. So we heard ROI, agility, and the ability to transform your business. Vishal, how do you decide which technology is best for you?
So very simple. Next, I see next 2 years is going to be protect your core. However you define your core, whether it's legacy, whether it's SaaS platform, whatever it is. Protect your core, and your core should work very well, because whatever you are building on top should be able to scale. If your core is not stable, whatever you build on top, you'll be fighting many battles.
Great.
That's where one base criteria. On top, how do you cater to the digital consumer? So that's the second criteria. Third criteria is what helps you to meet the compliance framework of your company. If your company doesn't allow to work with gig economy, please don't go down that path. Involve everyone, procurement, finance, I don't know who all. Involve everyone, because in these times, your every money that you spend, it will be looked from all directions. So the more people you are onboarding in the decision making, it is better. That's my take.
Thank you. We have lots of questions coming in on the chat window, but we unfortunately don't have time to take all of them. So I'll just come up with a closing question. Piyush, starting with you. If you have to make one prediction of how smart tech is going to disrupt retail in the next 2 to 3 years, what would that be? Please, very quick and precise answer.
Yeah. So I think one of the most underutilized power today and in front of us is the smartphone in the pockets of the consumers. And that's going to shape a lot of solutions that will come on the smart tech retail side.
Great. Manoj? One prediction.
Yes, it's a technology like the internet, which will work like now 4G to 5G, 5G. The more people will get used to it. Like people have started going to Netflix now. People have started in omni-channel using on the mobile. So mobile has been. So it's a internet connectivity which will have the
Great.
technology.
So mobile phone 5G. Kiran?
Yeah, so see, I think we are following a mobile first technology. We are trying to leverage customer mobile because today the more and more customers are spending more time on their mobiles. So how to interact with the customer, how to create the experience around their mobiles is the strategy.
Okay, and Anil?
Again, mobile first, so empowering customers would be the first D, and looking at more channels to open up. So we still are a very mature or niche state of where we are. So we have more length and breadth to cover in the future to come in. So it will be more agile technologies and more mobility is going to be.
Sure. So mobile, agile technology, and final thoughts from you, Vishal?
If I need to bet on something that is going to be something very big, it will be social commerce. I think that's a very big trend. It's going to be very big.
Cool. With that thought, thanks a lot. I think this has been a great session. I learned a lot. Hopefully the audience enjoyed it.